What is up, everyone? Happy draft eve. Going down in about 24 and a half hours.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's final mock, our one and only complete first round mock that we do the night before the draft every year. I'll have to go get my chicken out of the air fryer in a couple of minutes, but you guys can have fun talking at whatever pick we're at by then. All right.
Perfect.
Good to have John and Logan on. Full crew here. So I think this one will go pretty quick here. I don't think we need to talk about the Raiders too much at number one.
According to Dan Orlovsky, Ty Simpson is easily QB1. So I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't want to have that discussion.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. So now the Jets at number 2. That is, I'll say, sort of the first thing to happen in the draft here. A lot has been talked about Bailey versus Reese. Everything I've heard this entire week, including today, it's David Bailey. The production over potential is seems to be winning out in East Rutherford right now, and I agree with that as well.
I think Aaron Glenn needs to win now, which is why Bailey seems to be the more logical pick compared to Reese.
Yeah.
So I agree with Rusty.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not like David Bailey has like a super limited ceiling either. You'd still be getting a, very high potential player. So
If only we had access to the pick, we would make it. I mean, what's the argument?
Is Rusty already has to take the chicken out of the air fryer?
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Reese was the pick. And I guess that should be something we clarify with Rusty is, are we doing this on what we would pick or what we think we'll pick? Regardless, I think I still go Bailey, no matter in which of those circumstances. But
yeah, Rusty, is this a what we would do or what we think is going to happen?
I'm up to do either one. My vote for every pick is going to be what I see because I have, my personal draft needs for each team. Mm-hmm. So that's what I am advocating for pretty much every pick.
Yeah. We can probably go back and forth on it as we're making the picks too.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said with the Jets, I will kind of input intel that I've read throughout the week and months, about what the team does think that they're going to do. So kind of, I guess, a mix of both, but pretty much I'm just going off my needs.
Yeah.
That works for me. I don't think the argument changes regardless for the Jets. It's Bailey. Mm-hmm. I would pick him, and I think that's who's going to get picked. So,
all right, Arizona Cardinals here. John, your division, based off my needs, it should be Francis Mauigoa, because quarterback's my number 1, but tackle's my number 2. Wide receiver is my 3, so I would consider Carnell Tate as well, but my pick would be Mauigoa here, even though I know there's a lot of love right now.
Are you letting us trade?
Yeah.
I think Arizona's prime for a trade, and I think you have many options on who can trade up. You look at Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles as the 2 trade-up options. I could see Washington being interested in Reese specifically, finally get that top edge rusher. I could see Kansas City. There's a lot of smoke, it seems like, as of today. Read that into what you want. of Kansas City wanting to move up, also for Arvell Reese. Then there was smoke earlier, I think last week, about Dallas wanting to move up for a player that New York wants. When I heard that, I was thinking that could be Sonny Styles. So I really think Arizona, I'm curious your guys' thoughts, but I really think they move back because Rusty, I agree. I think Mauanoa, though, could be available a little further down. And even if you lose him, I don't think Spencer Fano is that far behind as the number one tackle. You know, another benefit for Arizona, let's say Dallas, if Dallas were to pick and somehow offer Arizona pick, I think it was at 12 and 20.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 20 might be the sweet spot for Ty Simpson. Everyone's talking about them moving up back into the first. This could kill two birds with one stone. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, I agree, John. I think that Arizona is a team with a lot of holes. And I think the best way that they could address that is by trading back. And I think the KC point is interesting, and it might be an interesting team building move for them to trade up, because realistically, with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, how often are you going to be in striking distance of a top 5 type of talent? So I could definitely see that kind of swap happening.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really heard too much on who would come up. I heard that it's a supply and demand issue right now. There's a lot of teams want to move back, not that many want to move up. I don't hate moving the Chiefs up or someone else. I think it would be okay. The Cardinals, not terribly lacking for picks. They have all of their own, all 7 of their own. They haven't made any trades. So that also could be looking at potentially something. The Cardinals haven't done any trades involving draft picks.
Could you go to propose and trade and see? Both of you brought up Kansas City. Let's see what that would look like, because they also have 2 firsts. Like, if we could get both of their first-round picks, and if we need to throw in a third or something, then I think you make that work, because you pick up an extra first, and I think there's a good chance you'll get Mauanoa. If not, but no, there's a few tackles stacked up there.
Likely reject.
What would happen if you gave them like a third or something? Ooh, yeah. I mean, see if they'll bite for a 4.
They will not go for 2 4s. Yeah,
I say do that. If you get something back, sure, but
I see if they would let us get the 5th back next year. Yeah, I mean, we'd be getting 5 points for it. It's 50-50 trade, but we'll see.
I say go for it.
Yeah. All right.
Boom. So then Arvell Reese, right? Or who do you guys think would be the guy they run up here for?
Yeah, I think that would probably be the pick. I mean, as interesting as Jeremiah Love and KC would be, I don't think they would move up.
Now they lost their middle linebacker, right? So could Styles be the choice?
They lost Chenal, yeah.
I wouldn't feel. I mean, I know there's a lot of talent there, but 3 is too rich for me linebacker wise.
I guess his edge.
I think premium position, you have to go edge rusher. It's my 3rd need for Kansas City. I was fine with sticking at 9 with them and taking a corner, because there should be 2 or 3 available there, or Caleb Downs. But
He'll get 2 corners on day 3, and DC's going to coach him up. No, he'll get them right. I mean, my gut says Reese.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, just premium position like Rusty said.
All right, the Titans. So this is another one. I mean, I know it's probably love, right? But I hate that. The Titans, and I understand. I understand it's best player available kind of thing with Jeremiah Love. Probably maybe be the best player in the class. But these teams are in the top 10 for a reason. They suck. And a running back is rarely going to produce enough wins by himself on a team that was picking in the top 10 to justify this selection. So, that being said, probably Jeremiah Love. If it was me picking based off my needs, because interior O-line isn't valuable at the top here in this class, I would go tackle with Malagoa.
I honestly don't even think it's probable. I don't think it's a slam dunk Jeremiah Love goes here for the reasons that Rusty just said. And that the coach they just hired, Saul, is a defensive guy. I understand what you said about maybe trading up to 3 was too high for Styles, but sticking and picking at 4 stock in a draft that's considered not the best, I think positional value is going to go out the window a lot. And that's going to come up, and I think Jeremiah Love picked very soon after this. But think about the linebacker that Saleh had in San Francisco, Fred Warner.
Mm-hmm.
Let it freak. Sonny Styles is not a Fred Warner, but I think that would be the perfect piece to plug in for Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I don't like Love here. I like Styles.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Jeremiah Love can be a guy who definitely unlocks an offense's true potential, but I think your offense has to be at a certain floor already for that to happen, and I'm just not sure the Titans are there. I don't think they're in a position yet to really be able to utilize him in those kinds of ways. And I think that this pick will probably come down to, does Saleh see Styles as that potentially growing into that Fred Warner type role? Because, I mean, that was the heart and soul of his defenses in San Fran.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been hearing. If it's not Love, it is going to be Styles because of the Fred Warner kind of comp. Interesting one as well. I heard, was it Aaron Glenn really likes Sonny Styles? Or no, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn likes Sonny Styles a lot too. That's what I just read in Jeremy Fowler's intel on Matt Miller's mock draft. But yeah, I'm fine with going Styles. PFSN has linebacker as number 2. I had linebacker way down the list on Tennessee. I don't know. I like their linebacker room, but that's me. All right, looks like it's Styles, right? Yeah.
Yep.
All right. The Giants. All right. So that was a big target for the Giants. 5 and 10. I don't want to say consensus, but what I've heard the most is Styles at 5, Downs at 10. My number 1 is interior D-line with Dexter Lawrence gone. Obviously, we don't have anyone available at that position up here. Wide receiver, though. This was where I would go Carnell Tate. Actually, my bad. I would go Carnell Tate personally, but what I have heard is, again, just what I read on Matt Miller's mock with Jeremy Fowler's intel. The Giants really like Jordan Tyson, and they've been out to Tempe a couple times, I guess. So that would be my vote here. Would be Jordan Tyson for the Giants.
Do you think you can get Jordan Tyson at 10 though? And that's not a slam dunk because I think he could easily go before 10.
Yeah, I don't know. It just depends on how many teams have him as their number one.
I think if you can try to get one of the receivers, that being Tater Tyson, and also be able to still get Downs. So I think it's what are you more willing to risk? I think Downs here at 5. Because
What
if
I've heard,
Tyson goes early, I think one of the receivers is more likely to be there at 10 than Downs is.
what I've heard is that the position. I know you said positional value might go out the way, but with a safety, I've heard that Downs might go later now than people thought he was originally, which is right at 10 or just outside top 10 in my mind. I think Dallas is the floor for him.
I also want to throw out that I think maybe this could be a spot for Love. I know they already got Scatabo. And I know they already have like some decent like mid-level RB guys. Like I think they picked up Singletary in the offseason. But I think there's like a kind of some psychic damage around the Giants with Saquon Barkley and how he really did turn into everything like he could have been at that number 2 spot. But it didn't turn into any success for them. And then they had to watch him have all the team success with a division rival. And I think the Jim Harbaugh of it, I think, he got to see firsthand kind of the ways in which Derrick Henry helped open up that Ravens offense in 24. And I think maybe he could potentially see a game-changing back doing that as well.
I'm glad someone brought up Love here because I could see that happening and everyone being like, what the hell? But every year those F-it picks happen. I mean, Bijan Robinson really expected Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't fight you guys if you wanted to go Love. I think one of those top 2 receivers is going to be there at 10, personally. So I think pause on the receiver because I think you can get 10.
Like I said, my vote is for Jordan Tyson. Receiver is my number 2 need for the Giants. And I personally would go with Tate. I like Tate better, but
Logan, can I convince you to go Downs? Or do I need to let you convince me to go Love? See if we can outvote Rusty.
I mean, what I think the Giants should do in general is just best player available. Like, I think that team just desperately needs talented players. And that could be Downs here. That could be Tyson here if they're really that high on him. You know what I mean? So I am kind of like Switzerland. Like, I'm not like planting my flag on that Love pick. I just wanted to throw it out there as hey, I could totally see them doing that and having kind of like a pretty sick 1-2 punch in kind of Scatabo whenever he comes back healthy is that kind of, sledgehammer, and kind of Love is kind of that scalpel in that backfield.
I like Downs personally. Downs is my vote. If I had to vote here, Downs is my vote. Best player available, and I think it's Downs, him or Love.
All right. Well, if we're all on different sides here, then I'm gonna take divisional precedence.
He's claiming dominion over the division. All right, fairs.
And I'm gonna pick Tyson.
As long as you're not trying to screw your division rival, and you're not an impartial.
No, this is what I've heard, and like I said, it's my second need. PFSN has wide receiver as their number 1 need. So,
Rusty, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Tyson. I think Tyson goes over Tate is very likely. But no, they get the guy.
Cleveland. So another team where I have QB as number one need. Obviously, it's not going to happen. Wide receiver. I think we go back to back wide receivers. Love, I think, could not make sense because Quinton Judkins, high draft pick last year, very good rookie season as well. Malagoa makes sense also. I don't know why I have tackle. I can't remember why I have tackle a lot lower on my list, but I have wide receiver times 2 as my second need behind quarterback. So I like going Tate here. Give whoever's going to play QB another option.
I like receiver or O-line here, what you just said. When I've been doing mocks, I usually had gone tackle first because I thought you'd get one of the top 3 receivers at your second first round pick, which is what, like 17? Is that right? Or it's like 23, I want to say.
Anyway, 24.
24. But now that you just saw Tyson go, you're like, holy crap, these receivers are going quicker. So though I've been going O-line, considering that Tyson went 5, I would agree with Rusty on Tate here.
Yeah, it looks like they did shore up some of those O-line needs. I'm seeing they added Titus Howard at right tackle and Elton Jenkins in the interior. But our lads does have DeJuan Jones starting at left tackle. Did he develop into I haven't been watching his career trajectory very
DeJuan
much.
Jones is not a starter. No, they have a wide, big open hole at left tackle.
Yeah.
They need to come away with the left tackle.
They like DeJuan Jones. I can't remember if he came off injury last year, if he got injured last year. Patellar tendon. I think he came off injury last year, so it was a tough season. But
yeah, and he's definitely. I mean, he can't kick inside. That's for sure. Because he's like 6'9", isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He is coming off injury right now. Week 3 against the Packers, he suffered a knee injury, and he got season-ending surgery.
If they like him, then O-line probably wouldn't be the pick here. So maybe Tate is where they'd go. But I will say, I think that they will address O-line at some point within the their other top 50 pick, just because especially if they're going to try to roll Shadur out for another full season, the way he hangs onto the ball and tries to extend plays before much longer than they probably should be extended, they're going to need a much better O-line than what they have now.
Hey, I've heard it's open competition. I heard Deshaun Watson could win the job back this year.
Whoever's at quarterback, you need a left tackle. So I like the Tate pick here, but I think you got to look at it and hope that you can get a good guy at 24.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a trade spot, I've heard. Cleveland could make a surprising trade and try to pick up a first rounder in what is supposed to be a loaded 27 draft, especially they're looking at quarterback for 27, right?
Who would be traded up for?
Jeremiah Love to get in front of Washington.
I don't know about draft. You can get me on board about a top 10 pick for a running back, but giving up 2 firsts to trade up?
Well, I don't know if it would be a first. I'm just saying.
I can see Cleveland looking
last year.
I could see them looking to trade down. I think this is a situation like you talked about earlier, where it's just there's not going to be someone to want to move up.
I could see someone also wanting to jump the Commanders for Bain if somebody's really high on Bain.
Bain would be more likely. I personally think the Bain might slip, and not because of the arms, but because of that off the field stuff.
Off the field.
I don't know. There's just a lot of questions. Sounds like this guy got away on something, So
what I'll say to that, I totally agree with that, and it does feel like you can have short arms or off the field issues. You can't have both, right? But I also just think like there's a general apathy like in the NFL. Like at least in the front offices. Like I feel like they just genuinely like do not care.
Nope.
I think that's fair. When I'm saying slip, I don't think he makes it past like 13.
Yeah.
Like,
Like
it's not going to be big, but if you're trading up,
yeah.
then you have to justify not only drafting a guy with a questionable history, but now you're trading up for him. It's that
Right.
extra stamp of approval.
Yeah.
You know? So I could see someone taking Bain still in the top 10, but I don't know about trading up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think I'm voting for Cardinal Tate.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think that's a good pick.
Keep him in state as well. All right, now it's Washington. Okay, this one's interesting. If Sonny Styles is here, I think that is the pick because I've heard Dan Quinn absolutely loves Sonny Styles. My number one need is wide receiver. Unfortunately, the top two just went, right? And we don't have another guy unless you want to go Mekhi Lemon. I think it's way too early for Mekhi Lemon. Corner would be my next one. Maybe a little early for Delane. I don't know. Obviously, linebacker, edge. This could be a Bain spot. Yeah, interior line, safety, tight end. Those are more depth needs for me for Washington. So I feel like I'm kind of talking myself into Jeremiah Love.
Jeremiah Love is who I like here. I think Washington could justify that they, barring the other than for the Jaden Daniels injury, they wouldn't have been a contender. They were in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. So I think you can justify like, hey, we just need one more piece. Jaden's going to be healthy. We need one more piece, and that one more piece could be Love.
That defense was very bad last year.
Defense. What sells tickets?
They couldn't stop. They couldn't stop anyone.
John's in the owner's seat.
I don't know what just won Seattle a Super Bowl, John.
Pretty damn good offense.
Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker.
Sam Darnold outdueled Matthew Stafford twice. Get us there.
On primetime television. I love the idea of a backfield that is Jaden Daniels and Jeremiah Love. That would be pretty baller. At the same time, they did add Rachaad White, who obviously isn't Jeremiah Love level, but like I like Rachaad White. Maybe it's because I have too many dynasty stocks of Rachaad White, and I'm trying to boost his position. But
they added forward too.
Yeah, and what I'm looking at is that edge room. It's pretty bad. I mean, our lads has them starting Odafe Owe and Kaylavon Chase on as their free agent pickups.
Javonte Jean-Baptiste as a number one backup.
What's Washington's? They have a second round pick, right? Or am I misremembering?
No, I believe. Let me look. No, they do not. They go from 7 to 71.
Ooh, damn it. I was going to say I think you get a good edge in the second. I wish I didn't ask that. Screw it. I still like Love, even though I think Ruben Bain makes sense. I think you got to have an F-it pick. When whoever takes Love, it's going to be like, whoa, and everyone's going to get excited. And I think that's Washington.
All right.
That was a not responsible pick, and I love every minute of it.
The Saints here. It works out well for the Saints, I think. Edge is my number one need, so I'm going to go Ruben Bain. Corner would also be in consideration. That's my number 3 need. Wide receiver is number 2. I still think it's a little high for Lemon, so I would look at Bain as number 1 option. Delane is my number 2, or Downs if you want to go that route. But
what I don't like is that I feel like there's been a lot of agreement on these picks, and I'm hoping we're not jumping into groupthink because I also like Bain here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it'll boil down to like how high are they on cornerback, and how worried are they about Bain's off the field issues. But yeah, I mean, I think the Saints are again one of those teams where I just think they need to take best player available, like no matter what. And to me, I think Bain is probably unless you think Downs is that guy.
I think Bain could play a very similar role to what Cameron Jordan has. Cameron Jordan's still unsigned.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean their
right.
edge is rough. The edge is rough right now in New Orleans.
They want
Besides
Chase Young and who else?
Carl Granderson, Fadil Diggs,
there?
Chris Rumpf. Yeah.
I like Bain.
Yeah, and I think he's just light enough for their 3-4 at 263. All right, back on with the Cardinals. So works out, right? We can get our right tackle of the future, Francis Mauigoa. I think that's an easy selection.
I think I like Mauigoa here. The only question I think is Downs too tempting? I believe they do need a safety. I think they just lost Jalen Thompson. I think they just lost in free agency. So
yeah, but
you guys have the depth. Did they add anyone for him?
The only safety they signed was Andrew Wingard, but they're looking for Dadrian Taylor Demerson to move into the starting spot with Buddha. He's going into year 3 as a 4th rounder. I think they believe in him. They also have Keaton Crawford going into year 2, a 7th rounder last year. So that's their top 4 anyways.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's all I need to know.
That's why I had safety as my last need for Arizona. But
what do you think, Logan?
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of offensive line here, especially because I mean, you get your pick of the litter, and building for whoever that QB is going to be.
Yeah, they just don't have a right. They just don't have a right tackle. I mean, they signed Elijah Wilkerson and Oli Udoh, and I guess I don't know what's going on with Christian Jones. I guess he just hasn't played well. He's going into year 3, 5th rounder out of Texas. I liked him coming out, but
I like Mauigoa here, so it sounds like that's the move.
The new coaching staff doesn't like him as much.
And I think it works out at 10, too. We were just talking about Downs. I didn't think he'd be here. Now he is.
Yeah. I think this is a pick. Like I said, this is what I've heard. Either Styles or Tyson at 5, Downs at 10 is what I've been hearing for the Giants. Again, safety doesn't fit my needs, but I'm also not the team. So,
yeah. And I think with the way Harbaugh has prioritized safety in the past with Baltimore, I think if Downs was available here at 10, I think he'd be sprinting in the card.
Yeah, there's really not any other players here that would fit what I have as top needs. Maybe tackle if you wanted to, because that's just a personal preference thing. I mean, I'm not trusting Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle. Is what it is. But yeah, Downs probably the pick here. Go with that, John?
Yeah, I like Downs here.
All right, Dolphins' first pick of the 5 million they have,
Green Bay South.
especially on the first 2 days. Yeah, 4 or 5 third-round picks. Just choking on some chicken. Just. All right, my number one is corner. This fits out well here. Mansour Delane, or if you like McCoy better, go McCoy. I've heard that with his, there's questions for his long-term health with the knee, but makes it easier with both guys available. If not, I think the big debate for Miami is what pick do you go corner, what pick do you go wide out? Because Mekhi Lemon is here, and we know the Rams like Mekhi Lemon. Cowboys could also be in receiver territory as well with the George Pickens news today.
I like Mekhi Lemon here, but then you need corner. Pick was it 30? I think, right?
Yeah, which isn't terrible because at 30 they might be able to get a guy like Chris Johnson that's been getting some steam late.
Yeah,
Trade on Stooks.
He's a safety, I've heard.
Yeah, put him at safety. They need safety too. They need like 3 starting DBs.
True. Safety is my third need. Technically, it's my fifth need because I have corner times 2, wide out times 2.
Hey, we played all season last year without any cornerbacks, so I think.
Yeah, you still don't have any.
I think, yeah. I think.
Bo Melton.
Yeah, my boy. I think my boy will. I
The
think
wide
he can
receiver?
hold off. I think, honestly,
Yes.
I don't think Sullivan and why is his name escaping me right now? Affley, my goat. I don't think that they brought in Malik Willis just to hang him out to dry. Like, I just don't think they cleared out that wide receiver room without a plan to, like, give him at least some pieces to try and win the job. And I think they did that knowing that potentially they'd be in a spot to take a kind of a game changer. So I think it would probably be Lemon, or if there's a different wide receiver that you think might fit better. But, yeah, those are my thoughts at least.
Here's the other thought. I like Lemon, but let's see if I can play devil's advocate. Denzel Boston, I think, is being slept on a ton. And a lot of people like Casey Concepcion. And I think there's a good chance that maybe Boston more so. He seems to be slipping a ton. So I think if you could try and get like Delane in Boston, I think I'd like that combination more than if I said Lemon and Chris Johnson. I mean, Lemon and Chris Johnson wouldn't be bad, but I think Denzel Boston's being slept on. He's got size, too, to be like your true number one.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I agree with what you were saying earlier, John. The wide receiver class is deeper than the corner class. I think Mansour Delane's the clear number one corner. And with the questions about McCoy's injury, even though he looked good in his workouts and everything as pro day, I think I agree with you. And I mean, I said Delane anyways, but I think I would rather go corner first than wide receiver.
Yeah, and I mean, the way this board has broken, like getting cornerback 1 is a better value than getting wide receiver. I think this would be 3.
Mm-hmm. 3.
3. So if we're looking at it that way, then yeah, I think maybe that could be the pick.
And it's interesting because my boy Anthony, that's been commenting on some of the shows on YouTube, he's a Dolphins fan, I guess, and he was saying how Hafley and Sullivan wanted to continue the Green Bay thing with longer corners. I think it was.
Yeah.
Is that right, Logan?
Yeah, they like they like long, fast guys, but I'll be honest with you. I mean, it hasn't worked out up here that much.
If that would be the case, then McCoy would be the pick because you look at the wingspan on Delane, it's only 74.5. McCoy's not only taller, but he also has a 77-inch wingspan.
Yeah.
So I still pick Delane because there's no health concerns.
Yeah. I mean, I think if, and again, you guys would know more than me, I think, because I haven't been following as much this cycle. But if Mansour Delane is the kind of consensus CB1, I think that's who they would go to. The Packers' brain trust will go outside their thresholds if they feel like there is a legit prospect. They did that with Jair, who ended up being their best selection at that position. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that'll play too much of a factor. Even if maybe the rest of that room gets built out with taller guys.
All right. Cowboys here. Hopefully Jerry doesn't stumble like he did today. You guys see that video?
I heard something about they stopped their press conference because Bill Clinton just walked into the room.
Yeah, freaking Clinton walks in. Jerry's trying to get up to greet him because he's on the side of the stage, right? And Jerry, I don't know what Jerry tripped on something. He stumbled his ass over to the left side of the stage. He almost fell off the stage. Luckily, there was one guy sitting to his left still. I don't know who that was, but that guy kind of caught him and held him up. Jerry had a couple too many mimosas in the morning.
Yeah. I just can't wait for the Jerry Jones 30 for 30. That's just going to be inevitable within the next 5 years.
Everything comes out. Everything. Yeah. All right. Dallas, though, unfortunately, my number one need is edge here. And I can't recall so with them running a 3-4, which actually Matt Miller just had Keldrick Falk going to Dallas. But I think that was a trade back, or I can't remember if it was at 12 or 20. But I think it might have been at 20, actually. But apparently he looked at Keldrick Falk as a D end in their 3-4 versus an edge rusher. That I think could be a possibility. Maybe puts on a little bit more weight. I mean, he's already listed at 276 right now. Other than that, though, other than edge and linebacker, there's no one available. Safety. Now, safety, I think you could go safety. I don't know if anyone thinks it's too early for Dylan Thieneman.
I don't think it's too early.
And then corner, of course, corner is another one. They need to, I think, regardless, whatever you go, you need to go defense because this is the worst defense in the NFL last year. I think it was 377 yards per game. Worst scoring defense in the league. Gave up a boatload of plays over 25 yards. So yeah. I think secondary, I think McCoy would probably be my pick here.
I kind of believe in Jermod McCoy slipping, even though I think he's one of the best players talent-wise available. I really do think he slips, just because of what happened to Will Johnson last year. Because I didn't think Will
Johnson, though. They said it's different than Will Johnson because they said McCoy's is just their Will Johnson. I think there was questionable about in totality, would he be able to play? McCoy's going to play, but it's just did the ACL limit his long-term amount?
Okay. Peyton Wilson, he slipped for that same reason.
He was never a first-round pick.
He definitely, you can't tell me he didn't slip a lot.
Because he did, but
that's what I'm saying. I think that injury is going to scare people off. I think it's stupid to think, oh, well, they might not sign a second contract. Who cares? 4
Mhm.
good years of a player, in my opinion, maybe 5 in the first round is good. But I do think teams will get scared off of that, especially Jerry. Jerry's not worried about his job. You know?
Yeah,
So
Jerry likes taking those jump boys.
I do agree with you defense. I kind of like Thieneman here. I like Falk too, or even Key Mesidor. Key Mesidor, I don't think he'd fit a 3-4 though. So between, I think Falk is more likely to be at, I think pick 20 they have, than is say Thieneman.
Mm-hmm.
You got Minnesota, and I think Minnesota's a shoo-in for a safety.
Yeah, I'm not going to break the tie. What I will just say is that I don't think, even regardless how the board breaks, I don't think it's going to be edge here, even though I think that is like their biggest need. I think Jerry legitimately thinks he addressed that by acquiring Rashawn Gary. Like, I think he legit is like, we got our guy. So I think it'll still be defense, but I think it'll be like more of a secondary player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with going Thieneman, John, if that's what you want to do.
That's what I would think, to be honest. I don't think they take a receiver this early, just to address my Makai Lemon question.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna say again.
Yeah, I didn't bring that up. I had it in my mind, but yeah. All right.
Oh, gross! Now this allows the Rams to take Makai Lemon.
That they could. I don't have wide receiver that high. My number one is linebacker, and then tackle. Tackle would be my pick here if I was picking for the Rams. Why, might you ask? It's because I don't trust Warren McClendon at right tackle, nor do I trust David Questenberry as his backup, nor do I trust AJ Arcuri as a backup as well. And Alaric Jackson is not getting any younger at left tackle. So, with that being said, I think for gut feeling, Monroe Freeling feels like the pick for me in terms of the Rams. But more than likely it's Lemon.
I think if you go O-line here, I think Fano's the pick, just because this might be a 1-year window with Stafford. And Freeling, I don't know if you can guarantee he's a plug and play right away. Right? Versus Fano has the longer experience, and I feel like you could trust Fano to be plugged in at right tackle day one. Freeling, you could plug in and then just have to deal with the ups and downs until he gets his footing. And he has a significantly higher ceiling. But I think LA, I think they're trying to win this year. And I think because they're trying to win this year, that's another argument for Makai Lemon.
Yeah.
You know, a 3-headed monster. As a Seahawks fan, I would be more pissed about Makai Lemon being the pick.
Yeah,
I never know anything, but I think it's between Lemon and no.
You never know, though. Fano could also beat Coleman Shelton out at center. They could play all 5.
That is very true. And that could lead you further down the draft to see if maybe you can get like a Logan Jones to play center, and then you keep Fano at right tackle, or if you think it's tackle balls, that flexibility for Fano is nice.
Yeah, I would also just throw in one more guy. I don't know why they have him this far down. I would throw in Emmanuel McNeil-Warren as well. I have safety as my third need for the Rams.
They already threw a ton of I do agree they need a safety, but they throw through so much capital this free agency at the DB room. I know for corner, not safety, but still, I think they got to shore up that right tackle position. Especially Stafford's 50 years old now?
Yeah, I mean, they don't need a starting safety, so that's why I don't think they would go safety. I was looking for the third safety because they don't really have any depth there.
I think they could get a good third safety day 2 or 3 of the draft. There's a few guys down there like Bud Clark.
Dude, don't put the Bud Clark thing out there. I need him for the Eagles or the Steelers.
So as you can tell by Rusty's reaction, I think he agrees Bud Clark's a steal.
Yes, he is.
One thing I do want to bring up, and maybe it would be premature at this pick, especially with Styles off the board, but their linebackers are atrocious. And I don't know if I don't know how people feel about CJ Allen, or if there's like another high rising like inside linebacker, but watching the Rams linebackers, especially down the stretch last year, it reminded me of like the perpetual Packers teams of like the 2010s, where like we would just have like a slow fourth round like middle linebacker from Big Ten School X, and like he just had no idea what he was doing out there. I mean, they were consistently out of position and got ran all over. And I think it played a big role in their not going as far as they would have hoped.
All right. I'm fine with going Fano. Any tackle will do for me.
I think Fano's the pick here. I wouldn't be surprised if, just because we didn't mention his name in that conversation, Kenyon Sadiq.
Mm-hmm.
You look at their depth chart. I don't think they really need a tight end, but
so I was gonna bring that up because that's a player to team fit that I would absolutely love just for the game of football. Just because McVay does so many creative stuff with tight ends, and I think he could do some real freak show stuff with Sadiq. But they did just spend a second round pick on Terrence Ferguson, and I think they think he can be that guy for them anyways. So I don't think that would be where they're gonna go.
All right, boys, let's go 14 personnel here.
Yeah, we're doing the Maryland Eye, and
we're going 04 personnel.
All Oregon tight ends.
04 personnel. Okay, yeah, 6-0 line, 4 tight ends, and a quarterback.
The fourth tight end could just basically be your H-back. There's your air quotes running back.
Yeah.
Do we do the most commonly mocked player to team outside of Fernando here? And do Ione?
I don't want to. It sucks that Fano went, right? Because I have center as my number one need. They didn't do anything to replace Tyler Linderbaum. Center's a massive need for Baltimore. Because they have who they have here. I'm just kind of chuckling because this is absolutely hilarious to watching the Penguins game right now. There's 5 guys apiece in the penalty box for the Flyers and the Penguins. Like literally, they have no more room in the penalty box. Like only
That's
three of the 5 guys on each team can sit down. Oh no, there's 6 in there for Penguins. Good Lord. Oh my gosh. Only 3 of the 6 can sit. That's all the room.
Jeez, how many guys are on the ice right now?
It's a 4 on it's a 5 on 4. Yeah, it's a power play for the Flyers. There's 9 on the ice, 11 in the box combined.
That's
so yeah, there's not that many guys left on the bench.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Ravens have Corey Bullock, Javon Gwynn, and Danny Pinter listed at center right now. So that sucks that Fano went. That would be my pick for them if they could get him. Otherwise, I have interior D line as my next need. There's not a guy here worth of that. Edge, again, Falk, too heavy to play in the 3-4. And the interior D line actually got less of a need with the news of Nnamdi Madubuike, his neck. Wide receiver, okay. I would probably say if I'm picking this here, I'm going Makai Lemon because that's my need that I have. Makai Lemon or Kenyon Sadiq is my pick for the Ravens here.
They do desperately need a tight end, to be honest. They lost. I mean, Mark Andrews. I was surprised that he was the one they extended.
Yeah, me too.
But Kenyon Sadiq would make a lot of sense here. I still think Ione is your guy, but if you want to go against consensus, and the rebel in me loves that, I think Kenyon Sadiq would. I think he'd make more sense in receiver, to be honest.
I mean, my thing is Zay Flowers is super inconsistent. Devontae Walker probably should not be a starting wide receiver. Rashad Bateman has had flashes, but he is what he is at this point in his career as a former first-round pick. I'm okay with the guards. I don't know why people are hating on the guards for Baltimore. Andrew Voorhees at left. John Simpson, they re-signed him back from the Jets after he was there 1 or 2 years. And they have Emory Jones, who's going into year 2. They spent a third-round pick on him last year. I understand it was a different coaching staff, but I don't know why you would just throw him away after one season.
Yeah. I do like the Sadiq suggestion quite a lot. Like, I think he could seamlessly go into that, and I'm blanking on his name now too. But the guy from Coastal Carolina.
Oh.
What's that?
Likely. Isaiah Likely?
Yes, Likely. And I think he could be like almost Likely plus. At the same time, it does feel a little rich, and I do think that the Ravens have bigger needs.
I'm fine with going Sadiq. I would pick Lemon over Sadiq just based off what I see. But if y'all want to go Sadiq, I'm cool with that. They have Mark Andrews and Durham Smythe right now. That's it.
I would go Sadiq or Ione.
Let's do Sadiq then, because I think, I agree with Rusty that I think the guard spots I feel pretty decent about.
All right.
Cool thing. Sadiq.
Unless they think Ione could also be a swing tackle, because
No.
I think Ione's just he's the best offensive lineman in this draft. Period. Like tackle, center, guard. Like, I think we're entering the conversation that he's the best player available. The fact is, he's just a guard.
All right, so Bucks. This is where I want to do a trade. Okay, I've heard the Bucks kind of want to trade down potentially, but also you look at what is available. Jamal McCoy. That is who a team is going to come up for because you want to get in front of the Jets.
With that injury history.
You want to get in front of the Jets.
The Jets, I think, will take a non-McCoy corner. I think this could be a Chris Johnson or a Colton Hood spot. I don't know. That's the hill I'm going to die on is that I think McCoy really slips.
I think McCoy is too good. I think McCoy is too good. I don't think he will go past mid-round. 20 would probably be, I think, hit the latest he goes with Dallas. I just think he's too good. His 24 tape was excellent.
I think if you want to do a trade here, the name who stands out is Monroe Freeling to get in front of Detroit, who also needs a left tackle. And there's only 2 really true left tackles, Monroe Freeling and Caden Proctor.
I've heard they like Proctor, so it doesn't matter. I've heard they really like Proctor, so it doesn't matter.
Well, then there could be another team who really likes Proctor and wants to jump ahead of Detroit. I think there's teams who have one or the other, but there's only 2 left tackles, and I think Detroit wants one over the other. If someone's trading with Tampa, I think it'd be for a left tackle. If Tampa stays here, I think they go Falk or Mesidor. I would think they want someone to.
I'm perfectly fine with Tampa staying here because although I have Edge as my number one, I don't like Messidor this early. I still think he goes closer to 20 or in the 20s, just based off the age thing. I know Tampa's a team that doesn't care because they're closer to winning than some of the other teams, but corner is my number 2 need for Tampa, so I actually wouldn't care if they stayed and picked Jermon McCoy. There's a safety need as well. I think Mayo McNeil Warren could be a guy here. Interior D line, probably not anyone except for the fact that you could take Keldrick Falk because the Bucks run a 3-4.
I like Falk here. Honestly, like talking about this, I think Falk would be the fun.
But I have Edge as my number 1 need. They need an outside guy more than they need interior.
So I have a question for you. Why? And I think you almost explained it away a little bit already. Why don't you like Mesidor? Just because of the age?
Yeah. I mean, the production is there. He's ready to play right away, but
I'll tell you this. How old is Baker Mayfield? He's probably about like 30, right? 29?
No, he's definitely 30 now.
Baker Mayfield age. Let's assume because of Mesidor's age, he's 31 at Mayfield. So let's say Mesidor only gives you 4 years, 5 years. Now you're having, in my opinion, because I think Mesidor is more ready to play day one than Falk is. Falk's a little bit of a projection. If you can get the best edge rusher available, and in that, my opinion, that's Mesidor to play day one for you, for age 31 through 35 Baker, that's fine with me. I'd rather my edge be ready to play right now compared to someone like Falk who has a higher ceiling, just might take time to develop. I think Tampa thinks they can win right now. Could they take receiver, though, for that same reason? I know they have Ibuka and Godwin.
And McMillan.
Yeah, never mind. I don't think Lemon has that size to replace Evans, so I talked myself out of that.
And Tez Johnson played very well as a rookie last season, and Cameron Johnson played very well in his second season as an undrafted guy. That just
I take the receiver thought back, and I double down on Keem Mesidor.
Oh, I have wide receiver, but it's not till my 6th need. Need a guy to fill up your room.
The only thing I'll add to this discourse is I do think O-line is a much bigger need than I guess the needs that PFSN thinks. I feel like that unit took a pretty big step back last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went O-line here.
Ione?
I don't have O-line as a need until way late, and that's just for depth purposes.
I don't hate that idea, Logan. I still think edge is such a clear need for them. I think that's a bigger need, to be honest.
I do think Mesidor would be a good fit.
Okay. Back on with the Jets. All right. We got – oh, gosh, this is hard to navigate here with all the – we got David Bailey at 2. And again, I will advocate for corner. This would be McCoy for me. I think that is where I would pick McCoy for sure. Corner is my number 2 need outside of quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is there's a big difference between just sticking and picking a guy like McCoy with his injury history, especially when you're a team like the Jets where you really just need the best players available. And you really should be taking some big swings to try and get those guys. I think, there's a difference between sticking and picking versus trading up. And I do think that he's a guy that someone
He has 6 more interceptions in his career than the Jets had last year. Actually, when you look at it, Jermod McCoy had 4 interceptions in 2024. Jermod McCoy had the same amount of interceptions that last year the Jets did. He didn't even play a game.
So I think you guys already know what I'm gonna say. I don't know. I have a gut feeling McCoy's gonna be the guy who slides. That being, I mean, sounds like I'm probably outvoted here, but I'm gonna give one little spiel. Try to convince
Lemon's
one of them.
Lemon's
Exactly.
fine, but I'd
Lemon
still
would be the guy I go with because Garrett Wilson's a guy. He's a dude, right? He's your number one. Do you trust AD Mitchell? And then can you even name who their slot receiver is without looking at their depth chart?
It's not John Mechie anymore. I know that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like outside of Garrett Wilson, I will say when I was doing mocks, I don't know what you guys think of this. He's already gone. I like Sadiq here. I just want Geno to be able to throw to someone and take some pressure off of Garrett Wilson.
That's the same argument for the Rams. Why'd you draft Mason Taylor in the 2nd round last year then? That don't make sense.
Well, good thing he's not available. That's not the argument here. The argument is wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think you got to put Mekhi Lemon and AD Mitchell. If he's your 3, that makes me feel a lot better. Just reslotting that room, getting that offense set. Their O-line, I think, is in a better spot than a lot of people think. And then you have Breece Hall. I think if you got another big receiver here, that could help bring that offense together. They added a lot on defensive free agency as well.
My only thing with that is, do they pick again at the top of the 2nd? Do they own their 2nd round pick?
Yep, 33.
I think they could have a decent chance of picking a wide receiver too at that spot.
For
Can you
sure.
make the same argument for corner though? Corner class is very deep as well. I know that Seattle's at 32, and there's a lot of corner options you could have there.
I think Jermod McCoy has a better chance of staying healthy and developing into a CB1 than there is a chance that a CB1 will be available at that spot. I think it's much more likely that a wide receiver 2 would be available at that spot than a CB1.
I'm just gonna say it again. The Jets did not intercept the pass last year, guys.
Yeah.
So
no, I don't disagree. They need corner.
Yeah.
I just disagree with McCoy, but I'm outvoted here.
And from what he's looked like
Watch tomorrow night. That's my prediction. Is McCoy slides.
What he's looked like in his pre-draft, he's looked pretty good. So
I agree with you, John, but I think this also would be kind of a slide for McCoy. Maybe not as much of a slide, obviously, as like Will Johnson suffered, but I think it would still be a slide.
Okay, let me specify my bold take further. I think the ceiling for Jermod McCoy is 20. That's what I say by a slide.
I think it's also different from Will Johnson in that the injuries were different, right? McCoy coming back from what I heard was clean ACL tear, and surgery went well. Rehab has gone very well, and he's had an entire year versus the normal, you're trying to get back as quick as possible, 6 to 8 months. He injured it last January. So he is over a year. He's at 16 months now. So he should be very ready to go in even mini camp, I think.
I'm going to push back on that. This is the report.
Was a degenerative knee issue.
This is the report from today. It says, and this is from PFT, Jermod McCoy missed all of last season, blah, blah, blah. He could miss extensive time in 2026 as a rookie due to a potential surgery he might need this offseason.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't heard that.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying, where I don't think Jermod McCoy is going to be taken right away, because I don't know if he plays this season.
Well,
if the Jets need a corner, I think 16 could be a good spot, but it might be someone like Colton Hood. Maybe. Or whoever your CB3 is.
Well, we're on to Detroit, and this is where I would say Keldrick Falk finally lands. Detroit running a 4-3, I think, makes Falk's 276 perfectly fine to be an edge rusher. He can stop the run, has pass rush potential with the traits that he has as well. And I know what you're going to say, John. They need a tackle. Tackle's my number 2. Edge is my number 1. Tackle's my number 2.
I like tackle here, and I like your idea of Caden Proctor. I like Monroe Freeling too, but it does seem like they like Proctor more.
Yeah, I kind of agree with John. I think this is going to be O-line. I think, honestly, you could put it in Sharpie. Just because I think the O-line for them has been such an identity under Dan Campbell. Not that, like, Aiden Hutchinson and the D-line hasn't been, and they definitely need to improve that. But that O-line was bad for probably the first time under Campbell's tenure since his first year. And you saw how much it affected, like, just the psyche of that team. Like, we were getting pressure with just Micah Parsons. Like, and I understand he's a one-man wrecking crew, but, like, that O-line, they like, just did not have answers in a lot of the matchups that they had last year. And I think Campbell can explain away struggling with a pass rush next year more than he can explain away still having O-line issues.
And on top of that, Taylor Decker no longer with the team.
Right.
Yeah, they released him. I'm not sure
I think he's
exactly why.
weird. I heard something that he might want to retire.
I think he fell off a cliff too, to be honest with you. I think he was not himself last year. That's for sure.
All right, we're going Proctor. Vikings. All right, Minnesota. I have corner ×2 as the number 1 need. I know everyone and their mother wants to give the Vikings a safety. I don't hate going Colton Hood here, or even a guy that I know people have thrown up there in Chris Johnson. I think it's way too early for Chris Johnson for my blood, but interior D line, okay. I'm okay with this. Might be a little early, but I'm okay with going Caden McDonald here as well.
I like the idea of DB. I'm going to plug
safety is my
Ione here. The reason being that last offseason, the Seahawks, as worst kept secret, I'm a Seahawks fan. All they needed to do was add to the guard position. And all up into the draft during free agency, everyone was freaking out because Seattle added nobody, right? They ended up getting Zabel. Great. One of the guys that we're really looking at was Will Fries. Will Fries ended up signing in Minnesota. And throughout the entire season, we Seattle Twitter kept dogging the Vikings, not only for the Darnold stuff, but because Will Fries sucked last year. All due respect to Mr. Will, he did not play well. And Ione, in my opinion, Mekhi Lemon too. I think you'd argue receiver if they needed a receiver 3 here, but I think in the NFC North, you need to be able to, and Logan, you can speak to this, you need to be able to win at the trenches. That's just football, right? So I think Ione, talking about slips, I think this is almost, I know he's a guard, but this, in my opinion, is the best offensive lineman in the draft. I think Ione would be a great pick here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo, honestly, both your guys' points because they honestly, I think they have more holes than, like, they think, and I think it's because even though I like their offseason, obviously, there's a lot to address. But, like, they've had, like, no run defense, like, no answers in the interior D-line, and their O-line was awful last year. So I think in terms of need, those are a coin toss. The question just becomes, because they also have needs in their secondary, is there a player that is like best player available? Because I do think that they will just go like, hey, who's a high value guy we can add, because they have a lot of holes.
They have absolutely zero corners, outside corners. Like,
Yeah.
I highly doubt that Isaiah Rodgers will duplicate his 2025, because that's just unsustainable.
Don't bet on that. That's an Isaiah Rodgers betting joke.
James Pierre is your other outside corner. Yeah,
I like
no.
corner here. Yeah.
Zamiah Vaughn, Dwight McGlothern is a guy I liked coming out in 2024 as an undrafted guy, Arkansas. Byron Murphy, of course, is one of the better slot corners. His backup is Khalif Hayalasi. Okay. So they have zero corners outside of Byron Murphy.
If we go corner, can I give you the guy I think it should be? Or no. Rusty Logan, guess who you think the next corner should be?
You're going to say Chris Johnson. I say Colton Hood.
Yeah, I am going to say Chris Johnson. But I mean, Colton Hood would be a good pick here too. I still go, damn, they do need a corner bad. But for me, it's Ione. If you go corner, it's Chris Johnson. But I'm not going to be mad with between those two. If Colton Hood's the other pick, I wouldn't be mad.
Logan?
I think Hood. That's just a gut feeling. Yeah, it is a really glaring need. And I think, honestly, it's just the way this board broke. Like, because this is CB2, right?
Your outside guy.
Yeah,
Three.
the only other guy.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Should be 3, yeah.
Yeah. So, CB3, yeah. I think that'd be good value.
Yeah, otherwise, like I said, Cade McDonald would be there, I think. I have him just a hair over Peter Woods, but it depends what kind of guy you want. I would also say, if you want to give them safety, like everyone and their mother has been mocking them, Emmanuel McNaughton, I feel like I've said his name for the last 5 picks, but
I wouldn't dislike McNeil Warren here either.
He's also in the picture, but I think corner is just much more of a need.
I actually think McNeil Warren would be positioned higher than those guys, but corner, the need, I don't know. I think Minnesota can go to a lot of places there.
All right, my Carolina Panthers. Oh, we need a center. Unfortunately, Spencer Fano is not here. Corner, though, okay? Corner. Your boy Chris Johnson could potentially go here. It's early for him, for me. And because it's my team, John, I'm making the pick. You guys can have input for sure. But what I'm saying at corner is, I'm not trusting Mike Jackson or Robert Rochelle or a Caleb Evans. So, yeah, I like corner. You need someone more consistent opposite of J.C. Horn. Safety, I don't hate McNeil Warren here. I actually really like that pick if that's how we want to go. Nick Scott just doesn't do it, even though they re-signed him. Trayvon Merrick has been really good since coming over from Vegas. And I guess there's still kind of some hope for Lathan Ransom. He's going into year 2, 4th rounder last year. Isaiah Simmons played okay in a rotational role last year as well. So those are my top 3 needs: center, corner, safety, tackle as well. Monroe Freeling wouldn't be a terrible pick here, right? Big question mark with Ike Ekwonu, the torn patellar tendon in the playoffs. They signed Logan's guy, Rasheed Walker, which I absolutely loved getting him. But again, he's only on one year deal. So there's no long-term there. So Monroe Freeling actually wouldn't be a bad pick either. So I would probably say McNeil Warren is my number one. Freeling would be my two.
I like either of those. Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
What would your thoughts be about adding speed like Casey Concepcion? So then you have a big and Tet and then a speedster.
I don't know. I mean, wide receiver is my last need for Carolina. I know they need it probably. And I know people are bagging on Xavier Legette, but he's still young. He's still only going into his third season in the NFL, right? I don't know. He's still got time in my mind. There's a lot of pressure on him being a first-round pick. Hasn't really panned out yet. But I don't – and then they signed John Mechie, which I do like, and as a backup. They have David Moore and Jimmy Horn. Bryson Tremaine was an amazing just find last year as a street free agent, which was wild. But I like their wideout room more than a lot of other people. So that's why I don't have it very high on my list of needs. Secondary is definitely something they need more of.
I like the way the O-line board has broken kind of here for them. And obviously, Russ, you'd know a little bit more about their depth chart than I would. You mentioned Rasheed Walker, and I think that is a great pickup. But I think he did take a step back for us last year after being kind of a steal of a 7th-round pick. So I'm worried he might be more in the kind of Yash Nijman role of like more of a swing tackle than like a true legit starter.
The Panthers know him too. So
yeah, I know. That's why I was like, I'm worried it's just, kind of more of the same. And I do think that the priority still needs to be putting Bryce in the best position you can, so that you can fully evaluate him.
Yeah, I think that's the issue with Freeling. Although he is a true left tackle, 15 games, not a lot to go off.
Mm-hmm. Are the guard spots like shorn up? Would you go Ione?
I'm fine with it. They made a big investment at the guard position. I can't remember. I think it was last year. Is that last year they signed Damian Lewis from Seattle, John? That 2 years ago. John's muted.
Sorry.
Oh.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. I've been pounding the table for Ione a lot, but not here because they also have Robert Hunt in addition to Damian Lewis.
And so Chandler Zavala.
Say again?
And Chandler Zavala.
Yeah, so you guys are pretty set at guard. I like tackle, and the fact that Monroe Freeling doesn't have a lot of starts, but they're kind of in a perfect position where he doesn't have to play right away.
Yeah.
I like he might force his way on there, but Rasheed Walker's there and at least can pinch start half a season, if not a full season, give him start with the intent to redshirt him and then probably play him because he's too good. That's the ideal situation, I think. Plus, it gets Rusty, a Georgia guy, to Carolina.
Yeah, true. They're just not sure what the timeline is for Icky. I have no clue on when he's projected to get back, if he even gets back this year. So, yeah, I don't hate the Freeling thing. That was my 4th need was tackle. I still probably say McNeil Warren would be my number 1 pick, but if you guys want Freeling, that's cool.
Well, Rusty, hold on before you do it. It's your team. I like McNeil Warren too.
You get final say on this one, boss. So.
Yeah, I mean, safety is my number 3 need. over tackle. But I think you guys convinced me to go Freeling. I think I
Wow.
like.
It's that, man, we got our money's worth at Marquette Law, boys. We
Go Dogs. Cowboys. All right, guys, we're getting into some interesting territory, all right? Because
yeah.
Mekhi Lemon is still
Yeah.
on the board, all right? And with the George Pickens news, and I probably should have shut my mouth so we could just pick him with the Steelers. But with the George Pickens news today that they are not signing him to a deal, I don't know, right? We got Dylan Thieneman at the first pick. Edge is still a need for me. I don't like Falk as an edge because the Cowboys run a 3-4. Would you reach for Zion Young? I think this is a little early for him, although I do love the player in Zion Young. Logan mentioned CJ Allen earlier. I think this is a little early for him as well. Do you collect picks? Because we know almost, I would say for a certainty, if the Cowboys do not pick Mekhi Lemon, the Steelers are going to run that card up. But would someone else want to come up?
I was just about to ask. AJ Brown supposedly gonna be traded.
That being, I would start with, although Jerry would more than likely never do it, but he has before, okay? He has traded with the Philadelphia Eagles before in the first round, and guess what? It was for a wide receiver. They picked Devontae Smith, number 6 overall. Just saying.
Yeah.
Here's a surprise. I know Buffalo added DJ Moore, but I don't think it would be crazy to add another receiver.
No, not at all.
Here's the thing.
San Francisco needs one.
Here's the thing, boys. You guys are thinking way too rationally. All right? You got to get into the mind of a Jerry Jones, okay? And he's sitting here at 20 and a potentially explosive playmaker who can sell a shit ton of jerseys is sitting there. I unfortunately think Jerry would absolutely snipe Mekhi Lemon in this situation from the Steelers.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. It's not like they don't need a wide receiver, okay?
Right. Especially with the George Pickens thing, yeah.
They do need a number 3. They do not have a capable number 3. Jalen Tolbert's gone. I'm not, Flournoy is okay. Jonathan Mingo sucks. Paris Campbell sucks. Kevontae Turpin's nothing more than a return guy. It's for fact. They tried him out on offense. He's not a good route runner at all.
So here's my thought. I think because there's been reports that Dallas wants to move back. Now, Jerry Jones is irrational, but I also remember the Johnny Manziel draft. Everyone thought he was going to take him, and they took a guard who ended up being, it was a Travis Frederick. I think it was a center. So lineman. It was some meat and potatoes, and everyone was like, "What the hell?" And then they ended up being really good. So if Dallas, I had this feeling, and then I actually saw Daniel Jeremiah was talking about this too. I think if Dallas doesn't move back, they're going to do something quote unquote irrational and not take a receiver, but take someone that you did not expect to be this high. I really have a feeling. I don't know. I have a feeling this draft, especially the back half, is going to have a lot of people you didn't expect to go in the first. Because I think there's like 10 to 15 true like first rounders, and then everyone else between pick 15 and 50 on the big board is going to be really mingled, right? All of that being said, I think if they don't trade down, they might take someone like oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? Malachi Lawrence. If you mentioned Zion Young as a reach, I think Malachi Lawrence would be one they might be interested. His name's gotten some heat recently. And then here's another name. You guys, I want to see your reactions. They need a linebacker.
Mhm.
And I know it might be early for CJ Allen, but it's probably definitely early for Mr. Jacob Rodriguez. Heisman finalist, right? I know a big question mark about him was his athleticism, and then he went out into the combine and had a great workout. Showed that he had that athleticism. And you're talking about selling jerseys. Where did Mr. Rodriguez go to school? Texas Tech. Now you have a ton of Texas Tech alum who are hyped that their starting middle linebacker is Jacob Rodriguez. Look at who won. I was upset about it, but look at who won Defensive Player of the Year last year. Carson Schwessinger is a second-round pick, right? Everyone's talking.
Jerry doesn't give a shit about Texas Tech. He went to Arkansas.
So his fan base likes it.
Do they
Jerry
though?
hates Texas Tech.
Do they though?
They're
They're
going
in
to
the
hate it no matter what because it's Jerry Jones.
They're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They're TCU fans.
Dude, you know how many people go to Texas Tech from that area?
No, because
Okay, regardless, I think what I'm trying to convince you guys at is if there's not a trade back, I think that it's going to be a player that no one expects.
How about the Dolphins here, boys?
Moving up?
They got 5,000 picks in the third round.
Ooh, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. They actually definitely have the capital, and they don't have to touch 27. Because who did they pick in the first? It was a corner, right?
Yeah, we got Delane.
Go get Lemon. Holy crap.
Yeah, for Lemon.
Wow.
CB
you're
times
cooking.
2, wide receiver times 2 is what I got as their number 1 through 4.
I think Rusty's cooking. I would do that trade if Miami offered. And then get Jacob Rodriguez at 30.
Green Bay has been known
Jacob
to
Rodriguez.
move up.
I'm not taking Rodriguez at 30, but I still think this makes a ton of sense. Dallas doesn't have a second round pick. Unfortunately, I don't think Miami would give up their second, right? Because they have four thirds. But I think we can package 2 of those third round picks. I would go 87 and 94 just because I like to, I don't like to just completely throw the gap away. I don't want to go from 87 to 130. So I'm okay with going from 75 to 90 to 130. And it looks like they would accept 87 and 94 to come up 10 spots.
Let's do it.
I'll just say this is too wise of a team building move to be a Jerry Jones decision.
But is it too wise for a John Eric Sullivan decision?
No, he's well, and if we're keeping the GB theory in play, maybe he inherited Brian Gutekunst's ability to just absolutely fleece Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I mean the value here, they're telling us we're 16 points above what we need to offer, but that makes sense when you're the trading team, when you're trading up.
Mm.
So, yeah. I mean, I think
Danny Jeremiah just dropped his mock as we were doing ours.
I know. I got to go look at it, but I didn't finish Matt Miller's yet.
Damn it. He's one of the best guys that I like to pay attention to. He's like super tuned in.
Yo, guess who we just put at 20 for Dallas?
Chris Hood?
Hey, Rusty, do you mind?
Or Chris Johnson?
Sure.
Malachi Lawrence.
Yeah. I don't hate it necessarily. Dallas needs edge. Because we didn't get them an edge yet.
Guess who else he has at the bottom first?
That's my number 1 need. Your boy Jacob Rodriguez.
Trade on Stukes.
Yeah, I've heard that. But
Okay.
again,
I just wanted to convince you guys that later on I'm going to bring his name up. So
yeah, but again, he has lost his luster for me because maybe not the safety versus corner thing. Anyways, this is an easy pick. Mekhi Lemon fits the need. Home run selection. Home run first round for the Dolphins.
Yeah,
Mansour, Delane, and Mekhi Lemon.
Do lemons grow in Florida?
Sure.
Yeah, I think so.
They do now.
It's more the orange state, but I'm sure that's a similar process.
The Stillas. Well, hopefully the draft is better. Because the Penguins are dog shit. Just saying. 1-0 after the first period, 3-1 after the second.
Rusty, we gotta address the elephant in the room. Is Rogers coming back or not? Is he reuniting with Big Mac?
I really don't care if he does.
It feels like that's what not only Steelers fans, but everyone in the NFL is kind of like at this point.
I mean, if he does, cool. If he doesn't, we didn't get to see what we have in Will Howard, right? Because he broke his wrist before the preseason started last year. So we didn't even get to see what he looks like on the field. And now he's going to be in a different offense. But at least this season, he has a full season to work in it, right? And without Rodgers being there, he's getting all the first team reps right now, I believe. I don't think Rudolph is, or maybe they're splitting reps, but Will Howard is benefiting from Aaron Rodgers not re-signing yet because he is getting the reps that he needs in order to develop. And that's what your boy McCarthy's supposed to be about, right? QB development. So I think the Steelers are going to draft one eventually. I like guys for Pittsburgh in round 3 and 4 area. Your Garrett Nussmeyers, your Carson Becks, Drew Aller, which
apparently Carson Beck's a potential first rounder. Did you hear that?
I had one of my friends, Jets fan Max. He asked me, or he sent me a reel of, I think it was like Bart Scott on CBS Sports, like perfect Jets draft or something like that. I forget who it was, but he's like, "What do you think?" I was like, "Well, I don't like they went QB. I think they went Simpson at like 44 or something like that." I was like, "Dude, I think Aller for the Jets in the 4th round is perfect. I think that makes a ton of sense if you don't want to go Simpson that early." But I digress. QB is definitely number 1 for the Steelers. We're not taking Ty Simpson. I don't care what your boy Orlovsky says, Logan. Not doing that. Tackle, though.
I wouldn't do Simpson.
Okay, tackle.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, Monroe Freeling is gone. The Broderick Jones neck injury, big issue for the Steelers. And my thing is, we can go tackle and go Caleb Lomu. I don't hate it. Flip Faltanu to left and put Lomu at right.
What about Blake Miller?
Yeah, you could go that route as well. 50-plus games for Blake Miller. Some people are saying he's the most pro-ready tackle.
Do you think safety's a need? Because your guy McNeil Warren's still there.
I do not have safety as a need, just because I like the safety room with, especially if Ramsey's going to play there. But they signed Jaquan Brisker and Darnell Savage to fill out with re-signing Deshaun Elliott. Sebastian Castro I like as well, undrafted guy with the Bucks.
Could Ione be an upgrade at guard?
Yes. So Ione is a guy I have loved for the Steelers. Interior O-line is my 4th, technically my 5th need if you want to count wide receiver, because I have wide receiver times 2. But I think with only the guys like Omar Cooper, Casey Concepcion here, and I wouldn't hate Max Iheanacho either. That's a guy I really love. I love Iheanacho. I watched him live at the Senior Bowl. But yeah, I John, to your point, I actually really like Ione without the wide receivers that I want right here. I think, yeah, he probably is the pick because they haven't filled the Isaac Seumalo spot. They're looking at sliding in Spencer Anderson, who was a swing guy inside last year. They really don't have a ton of depth otherwise. Ryan McCollum at center is pretty good backup. Brock Hoffman they signed from Dallas, who was absolutely atrocious. But yeah, I like Ione. That's cool with me.
I agree.
Yeah, I think who did I say this? Did I say this to you guys earlier? Or maybe I said it to I don't know. I said it to someone recently. Just need to keep Ione in Pennsylvania. He needs to go to Philly or Pittsburgh.
One
I
of
think
them, yeah.
he's a great
I
fit.
like
In
Pittsburgh here.
I think he's a great fit in either one. All right, the Chargers. Chargers' number one need I have, unfortunately, is interior O-line. I just do not trust these boys up front here. Trevor Penning, he's better as a guard than he is a tackle, that's for sure. But you're betting on Cole Strange and Trevor Penning to protect Justin Herbert inside, and an over the hill Tyler Biotis at center.
Wow.
I
How dare you disrespect Wisconsin GOAT Tyler Biotis?
Dude, he was terrible in Washington. Absolutely terrible. That's why they cut him.
Could you pull up all the top offensive linemen?
I can't do that. I can only you gotta filter by specific.
Okay, that's fine. We'll just do one at a time. So Lomu could slide in. I think Blake Miller could slide in.
Ian Achor definitely can. I like him as a
But
guard.
Do you trust him to play right away?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I like him a lot too. I don't know.
I saw at the Senior Bowl. That's what he's a road grader in the run game. Great athleticism. You can see there 986 on the RAS. Fantastic. Sub 540. Yeah.
I wouldn't hate Ian Achor here. I think he's going to go higher than people think. What are your guard going early? I think there's a lot of talk about Pregnon or Basantis or Rutledge. I've heard him too.
I've seen Basantis, but not till late in the first round. Like the Seahawks, 32. I've seen him go there. There's not really any first centers.
I kind of like Ian Achor here. I like that idea.
I like that idea too. I will just say, for the sake of like discussion, I do think edge is a big need for them, and the way that this board has fallen could be beneficial to them. Falk is obviously there. Obviously, I think there's definitely a lot of smoke with the Lawrence rise.
What about Bezidor?
Interior D line is my second one for the Chargers. That's mostly pointed toward the nose tackle. They have Dalvin Tomlinson, but is he really the dude at this point in his career? And I
think you address that later. Interior D line.
And Tear Tart also questionable in terms of age. They have no one backing up the nose tackle position. How about Tayra Edwards? Who can raise their hand and say they know who that is?
You're about to find out this season in LA.
6'3", 305, first year player. Out of where? Why do they not show colleges on frickin' our lads? That's dumb.
I don't know.
What the heck? So I have no clue where he went. But
once you get to the league, it doesn't matter. We're all brothers.
Okay.
I think
as they place $1 million.
You got to protect Herbert. I think protecting Herbert's got to be number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, McNeil Warren would also be another one that I'm throwing out there. Tony Jefferson, great story coming back last year, but
yeah, I still think line.
Yeah, I was gonna stump harder for D line, but then I remembered just how atrocious that O-line was last year and how awful it was watching Justin Herbert like run for his life. So yeah, I think they definitely have to shore that up.
Rusty kind of talked me into Ian Achor.
Yeah.
Damn it. I want him with the Eagles. He's a monster in the run game, and it's funny. I don't know if it's just the name thing or what, but he kind of reminds me of Seumalo when they drafted Isaac Seumalo with Philly. But Philly here, this actually works out okay for me. All right. Not because Keldrick Falk is here. You can definitely go Caleb Lomu if you're looking toward the future, which I know a lot of people like tackle for the Eagles. I'm not opposed to it. My thing is, my number one need for Philly is safety. I will put Emmanuel McNeil-Warren at the top of my list here. I have safety, edge, and corner. So I would look at McNeil-Warren, then probably Malachi Lawrence, and then because, Malachi Lawrence is he's light enough to play outside because they run their 3-4 under Fangio. And then corner. So I would be okay with taking a guy like Brandon Cisse or Chris Johnson, Avion Terrell as well. But I know I've been kind of sliding away from him recently because of the hamstring concerns.
He can't finish a workout.
Yeah.
I like McNeil-Warren here. I think his value is really good. I did see this thing. I'm curious your thoughts, Rusty, where a lot of the offensive guys who've been paid, a lot of them are starting to come to the end, like Zach Ertz, for example, A.J. Brown. And it's getting time to start drafting or paying your defense, like Jalen Carter, right? So the defense starts to get more pay, higher paid. Do you think that's going to facilitate or necessitate them to spend more money on offense, i.e. the line?
I don't know. I think Howie's a pretty BPA guy, except when he went with Quignon and DeJean. But corner was originally my number one need, and they could still go there. I slid it back a couple spots after they signed Reek Woolen and Jonathan Jones as well. But safety. I'm not trusting Marcus Epps. No, and I don't know when they moved Michael Carter to safety last year, but he's listed as a safety right now. So they need help. Makuba, I liked a lot last year before he got injured in his rookie year. So I'm looking for him to step up in year two. But yeah, Marcus Epps is the guy I'd like to replace, and I think McNeil-Warren will be fine.
Assuming that the AJ Brown stuff has legs, are there any wide receivers here you'd think they might pull the trigger on?
I'm not really as worried about it anymore with the work that Howie did already with getting Hollywood Brown, Dontavian Wicks. Those guys will be able to fill in for the top three. Or even just the top two, and the Eagles can get a receiver in round 2 or 3 because they have multiple third-round picks. They have 54 in the second, and then they have 68 and 98 in the third. So I wouldn't hate going receiver there. A guy I've seen mocked to the Eagles on day 2 a ton is Antonio Williams. I don't know a lot about him. I didn't follow him a ton from Clemson, but I wouldn't hate going a guy like that. But I also like a lot of the day 2 guys, wide receiver wise. Ted Hurst is one of my favorites. Monster size, can go up and get the ball. Jacoby Lane, a guy that I've seen falling a lot, but he's massive. He's like 6'5". So those are guys I would rather take on day 2 than reach for a wide receiver. If you're going to go wide receiver, I would rather bypass these guys, Cooper and Concepcion. I would rather go a guy like Denzel Boston where you're getting another big guy.
I think that makes sense for a receiver. I don't know. I think Rusty convinced me with McNeil-Warren. I think he just is the best player available right now.
Yeah, again, a lot of Eagles fans probably want Caleb Lomu. They probably want to look for the future, get that line depth, as well as the successor, Lane Johnson. I would rather keep the defense good, and then figure out the tackle position later.
Caleb Lomu.
Browns, we got Cardell Tate in tow here. I don't know. I still like the tackles in Cleveland. That's just me. But yeah, I guess there's not really anyone at the positions unless you want to go Chris Johnson or Brandon Cisse. That would be my highest need that is available for Cleveland right now. Yeah,
I think they might be tempted to get Garrett some more horses to run with him, but I think Lomo would be the pick.
all right.
Blake Miller as well could be an option.
All right, we're gonna go with Lomo. The Chicago Bears. Edge.
Yeah.
My goodness, they need edge. Great. Logan, perfect. They run a 4-3. We can take Keldrick Falk. Let's go.
Do you think they would want Falk or Mesidor? Because I think Mesidor would also be in play here. I think Chicago thinks they're. When did we take Mesidor?
Yeah, with the Bucks.
Oh, disregard. Keldrick Falk is great.
Yeah, otherwise, I have center and then tackle as my next two needs. Blake Miller could be a guy, but I think the edge need is much, much too great here for Chicago to bypass Keldrick Falk.
Agree.
Buffalo Bills, number one need for me is corner, then edge, wide receiver. Got a bunch of all those guys here. Is this where you want to go, Chris Johnson? John.
I do think Chris Johnson is going to be taken soon. I kind of like adding receiver here. I know they traded for DJ Moore, but I think you just need one more splash guy. And I think Casey Concepcion would do well in that offense. The speed factor. DJ Moore is also not the biggest guy. Do you think go Denzel Boston here as well?
I think I agree with you, John, in that I think they should keep going back to the wide receiver well. I don't think DJ Moore, for me, moves the needle. He's a good wide receiver, not a insane kind of wide receiver one. But I do think that they acquired him so that they wouldn't have to keep going back to the well. I think they're tired of picking in this spot and taking a chance on a wide receiver and it not really panning out. So yeah, I think in terms of what I would do, I would consider heavily wide receiver here. But in terms of what I think the Bills are going to do, I think they're going to maybe do a more meat and potatoes approach.
I can see them going edge.
So looking at their corner depth, I put that as the number one need. That's just because Maxwell Hairston had injury issues, wasn't the greatest last year in his rookie season. And also they don't have the best depth either. So that's why I put corner. Edge is my number two, though. Bradley Chubb's on a 1-year deal. Javon Sullivan, he's going into year 3 as a 5th rounder. Michael Hoyt signed last year. He's supposed to do something. He really didn't. Andre Jones Jr. as well. So I think get Greg Rousseau and Bradley Chubb some more help here. And I'd go Malachi Lawrence because Bill's running a 3-4 here. So I'm okay with that. Zion Young could be a guy as well, but with the ascension of Lawrence, I think that would probably be the pick here.
Yeah, I agree.
Or Malachi Lawrence. Yeah, if you guys aren't biting on receiver, I'd go Malachi.
Now, talk about a receiver. This is one here that could see it. So I have center as my number one need for San Fran. Edge, number 2. Zion Young would probably be the guy. TJ Parker actually would make more sense in my mind because of the 4-3 system ran by the 49ers. So TJ Parker would actually be a good pick. But I also agree with the wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall, and everyone else, Mike Evans. But, he signed a 3-year deal. How many of those is actually he's going to play? 1 year, 2-year contract. In reality, whatever it is, you got to get someone to help out Brock Purdy in the passing game, I think.
I would be very upset, but I think a good play here would be Denzel Boston. I used to think, offensive tackle here, but they just signed Trent Williams. I think it was a 2-year extension.
Yeah.
He's on the downswing, so you could consider tackle still. But I think you just need – I wouldn't want them to take Boston, the University of Washington guy, to San Francisco would kind of hurt. But that just feels like the right play.
I would argue for the other two guys. I would look at Cooper, more likely Casey Concepcion. I know a lot of people have mocked him to San Francisco, but I think it makes a ton of sense because not only is he a receiver, he's the number one guy in this draft in terms of receiver and returner combination. Zachariah Branch on day 2 is another guy that can do both. But I think Casey Concepcion, because he's not going to be needed to step into an 11 personnel, number one starting lineup wide receiver there. Or not 11, whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, he's not going to be tasked with starting receiver snaps unless Mike Evans or Ricky Pearsall gets hurt again. Okay, big possibility. But I also like upgrading specifically the punt returner. I think Isaac Guerendo is fine at kick, but I'm not sold on Jordan Watkins as a punt returner, even though he is only going into year 2. But 4th rounder last year. Yeah. So I'd pick Concepcion.
It's cool with me.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
One other thing, though, with San Francisco before we go. Interior D-line is my 4th need, and we have a ton of guys available. Peter Woods, Cade McDonald, just saying.
They just traded for Osa, though.
Yeah, but that didn't – they still need it.
They can get a good number 2 guy.
Yeah,
later,
I mean, they need it for depth. They need it for depth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
KC.
Texans.
We also need to start looking at Ty Simpson trade.
Do we, John? Are you sure? Do
the Jets want to jump him?
No.
It's
the Jets.
I think it's going to be John. I think it's going to be your Seahawks all day. Schneider has basically told everyone that he's looking to trade out of that spot to acquire more picks. That's what I would guess.
But now that Arizona is at 29, that would be the logical spot for Simpson. So somebody might look to trade above them.
I don't think the Jets want him that much. Just saying. I think the Jets perfectly content with sitting back, playing Geno this year, getting a shitty draft pick next year, and drafting the best quarterback they can get because
I don't know.
it's going to be loaded. Whether
What do you think, Logan? Do you think the Jets would want Simpson or no? Because if they want Simpson, they'd have to make a move.
If they want Simpson, they're going to 100% jump into the first just for that fifth-year option. That fifth-year option, especially for a QB, is huge. Assuming they think Simpson can develop into a QB1, because that's just an extra cheap year of high-quality quarterback play, if that's what they think. But yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on if we think they're that high on Ty Simpson or if they're more lukewarm. Like, I haven't really heard a lot, like, a smoke of, like, teams connected to him, so I don't know who might be interested in trading into the first.
From what I've heard, it's the Jets and Arizona. That's it. They're the two contenders for him, I guess. I still think it's going to come down to Seahawks at 32, like we talked about in the group chat. And it's going to be okay. Actually, it's going to come down to 31 or 32, I think. Even though, like John said, the Cardinals are at 29, so maybe they pick him then. Sure. But in the real draft, I think it's going to come 31, 32. And you're going to have to pair up the Cardinals and the Patriots and the Seahawks and the Jets because of the divisional, I think, issues. Especially when it comes to quarterbacks. You're going to have to – I don't care how many picks you got to move up. When you are trading inter-division and it is to draft a quarterback, you're going to pay extra. So that's why Arizona has to trade with the Patriots and the Jets have to trade either with the Cowboys or the Seahawks. I think more than likely it's the Seahawks, but
I think if you stick here then, because I think that's a fair argument. I think if you stick here, it might be early. You guys might think so, but I think they go guard.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Chase Besantis. Yeah.
I would go O-line of any shape or form. Any O-line, and honestly, any offensive player, just any. It was painful to me watching such a beautiful defense just go to waste last year. It was just tragic, and they need to do whatever humanly possible to recapture the CJ Stroud year one magic.
It's so funny you talk about the defense because when I look at my needs for Houston, it's interior O-line, right? Number one. That's why I like Besantis here too. But then it's edge, linebacker, corner, interior D-line.
I mean, what I'll say is
wide receiver.
I don't know who they've all lost. I haven't kept track of like how much their defense has gotten gouged.
I can tell you right now.
But man, it was tough.
Because someone has a free agency Excel sheet with every single team in the NFL. I think that guy's name starts with an R. But yeah, so they re-signed Sheldon Rankins inside. They lost Tim Settle to Washington, re-signed Naquan Jones. Christian Harris went to Atlanta. They re-signed EJ Speed. Cleveland took Miles Bryant away, and then they re-signed MJ Stewart. That's all the transactions for free agents defensively that I know of. I don't get into the weeds of actually going out and looking for these.
Yeah. I mean, Settle's a pretty big loss, I think. But I don't know. I feel like they could address IDL. I feel like the strength for interior D-line is rounds 2 and 3.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the value here with these guys, though, I think this is the area where guys like McDonald and Woods should go. Even Christian Miller, I think, could potentially sneak in. If teams like him, he could actually end up being the DT2 here.
I still think if you watch the playoff loss they had, Stroud looked like dog shit, and a lot of that was because of protection. And I think the class for D line,
or DT1, I should say,
on D2. So I still think you go O line here if you don't trade back.
Yeah, and I trust D'Amico as like a defensive mind to be able to make up for some of the things that they lost more than I trust just CJ Stroud, like without O-line help again. Like they can't go into next season without giving him a major confidence boost in some way.
Yeah, I like Basantis here. All right, Cardinals again. John, it's your division opponent. Do you want to give him Ty Simpson? Because I don't. But
well, it's funny because Rusty, the last time I was on a mock with you, I was pounding the table to have Ty Simpson slip, and I still think he's not worth first round pick. Just talent wise, he did not play well second half of the season, and the excuse was, I shouldn't say excuse, but the reasoning for that was injury. But you look at his slight frame, like I don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy. Guys who have such a short starting amount of of starts have not panned out well in the league. So for those reasons, I think it's tough. But this is where we go back and forth of what would they do, not what I would do. Because remind me, who did they take in the first? Was it Mamanoa?
Yeah.
So I think you got to go best player available, but I think that they would take Ty Simpson here. Because the other thought process is if they trade with Seattle, as you guys are mentioning, or New England, they would probably have to give up about a third. So could you get Ty Simpson at 29 plus your guy in the second, or and still maintain your third? Or do you think you could just take Ty Simpson now and avoid having to give up a third-round pick?
Yeah, so we gave up 65 earlier. We got a fifth rounder and 27 back. However, with giving 65 up, the Cardinals had just their 7 picks. So they really don't have the capital anymore with giving 65 up. So they would have to pretty much take him at 29 or 34.
I think
Yeah.
if it's a quarterback, you just got to take him at 29.
Yeah, my thinking is this is rich for Ty Simpson to me, but I also thought like the first round was rich for a guy like Jackson Dart. And it feels like some of the convention has gone a little bit out the window. And I think if you feel good enough taking Simpson at like where do they pick, like 34 again at the top of the second? Yeah. You take him at 29, and you get that 5th-year option.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I forget who said it in the last couple of years, but it's you have first-round quarterbacks. If you don't think a quarterback is a first-rounder, then he might as well be a day 3 guy. Yep. This class, I feel a little bit different, and there's a ton of guys that are potential guys that I think are talented enough to be second, third round, but not talented enough to be a first round. In terms of non-Ty Simpson picks, if we would not go Ty Simpson, I'm just saying wide receiver is my next need. I would like a guy like Omar Cooper. I think that can make a ton of sense. They did sign Kendrick Bourne in the offseason. They still have Michael Wilson, MHJ. They did sign Devin Duvernay as well. I just think Omar Cooper would elevate the offense on the outside much more than a 30-year-old Kendrick Bourne would.
Yeah.
But sounds like you guys want to go Mr. Simpson.
I think so, and I think it's also part of the way this board fell. Like, I think if there was like a gem, like kind of still out there, like maybe McCoy takes the precipitous fall that John thinks he's going to take. Then I think that's a different conversation because you're like, okay, well, maybe we're getting a CB1 on a fifth-year option. But unless one of those pedigree guys takes a fall for whatever reason, I think Simpson would be the play.
Yeah, and you think about it, this is an added pick anyways. You know, the Cardinals didn't expect to have 2 first-round picks plus 34 like we got. So, anyway, you can get the wide receiver at 34. Should be able to get one of the guys like Denzel Boston potentially could be there still. And even if he's not, I'm just saying linebacker is my next one. So you got John's guy, Jacob Rodriguez, and my guy, CJ Allen, sitting there. So Cowboys back on the board here. Got Dylan Thieneman at 12. This was the Mekhi Lemon trade up for the Dolphins. It's got to be edge or linebacker in my book here. And
Can you see the top edges?
3-4 Zion Young would work. Yeah, I think it's Zion Young. I don't think there's any other.
Unless they like Mason Thomas.
I do not like him in the first round at all. No shot. Parker for me is a 4-3 end.
The value on the board is at IDL. What is there? Is that not as big a need for them?
I don't know.
Not with Quinnen. Not with Quinnen in the fold.
Oh yeah. I forgot that they
Quinnen. Yeah, they got Quinnen, Kenny Clark. They signed Atita Ogbania from the Chargers. They also signed Jonathan Bullard from the Saints. Jay Toya is going into year 2 as the backup nose as a 7th rounder last year. They could use one because I do have interior D line, but it's way down the line for me at my 6th need because I want one more to fill out that room. No clue who Adedeo Odolai is. So, yeah.
I think linebacker is what adds up here. And I think linebacker would be the one that makes most sense here. And I would argue Jacob Rodriguez, but not because I think CJ Allen is ranked higher than him. I just think there's going to be a little bit of chaos at the end of the first.
By one.
And I'm like, you know.
CJ Allen's right above. Yeah.
That's funny.
You look at CJ Allen, he's very light, right? 230. And short arms. Didn't do any testing. And what I've heard in Allen is inconsistency in coverage. He can say the same thing with Jacob Rodriguez potentially, though. He has even shorter arms, similar weight, but he did test and he balled out.
Dang, and we even got some agility drills?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's crazy.
I think he wanted to show he could move his hips. So I don't hate either one. I lean Allen. Just that's a gut thing. My needs still say edge is the number one need for Dallas. So I would vote for Zion Young.
I think I would vote for Rodriguez just because, like I said, I think Jerry thinks he's solved the edge problem.
I like that I got Rodriguez in the first. Let's go. Send it in, Rusty.
Overpay.
I don't Does that care. Not sound like a Jerry thing?
That's the Jerry Jones way. What are you talking about?
That's cool. I hate it for Jacob Rodriguez that he has to go to such a bad organization.
Hey, he just has to drive down the road.
Such Probably a good
like 2-hour drive.
Low
3 out.
moving cost.
Such a good person getting wasted.
Dak Prescott.
Yeah, if Dak didn't have a star on this side of his head, I might like him. The Patriots, defending AFC champs here. Interior D line, look at that. We got all of them. That's my number one need for the Patriots is interior D line. Why, might you ask? Well, John, why don't you tell us why they need interior D line?
Well,
For someone that didn't watch the Super Bowl.
that was a
Yeah.
great game. Basically, outside of Christian Barmore, that line could not get penetration. You know, they lost. I wouldn't even say just D line. I would say edge, front seven generally. Like no one on that defense really, except for Christian Gonzalez. That dude is he's a guy.
Edge is my number two.
Barmore, and then it was just a ton of dudes. All due respect, Caleb on Chase on left. He was all right. So I think edge D line.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at what Ken Walker did. You know,
John,
need some push.
John, you don't have to be so modest. All right. You guys babied him. All right. We all saw 100 million people tuned in to watch you guys beat the brakes off of that D line. I watched Kenneth Walker run for like, what was it? Like 160 yards or something. Yeah. It's time to Vrabel, and then Vrabel spent the offseason on a little like love side quest. It's time to get back to the Patriot way of in the trenches. All right.
And I didn't even understand that, Logan, because I mean, nothing against Diana, but she's not a 10.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm a Diana guy. All right. I don't want to, and I think I understand the appeal. Okay, I understand where Vrabel's coming from, but you got to understand as well. You guys just got your ass handed to you on the biggest stage. It's not a great look, not a great optics look, and the worst part is that he took like a month to address it. He literally went into hiding. Like
beautiful press conference.
I will say, guys, okay, two things. I agree with Logan. I'm Team Diana. Some call her a princess in some parts of the world. And two, D-line, yeah, we bodied them, but the real story was their O-line and how they were bodied by our D-line.
Yeah.
That was the real story. Like Ken Walker won that MVP because he had a great game. But Ken Walker won that MVP because the defense ate as a whole and no one person stood out. It's honestly it reminded me a lot of the first Super Bowl. Malcolm Smith ended up winning because he had the pick six. But that was just because they had to pick somebody. You know, Cam went off that game. Cliff Averill went off that game. It was the same thing with a few months ago. So if the narrative we're pushing is that they need to improve where they were bodied the worst in the Super Bowl, that was their O-line. And I know they want to keep Will Campbell at tackle, but Blake Miller, I think, could be an option, and then just move him into guard. Because remember, Jared Wilson is now moving into center because they just traded Bradbury, I think, was it to Chicago?
Yeah.
So I really think look at the value. Who's the better value between D tackle, edge, or O-line? But to me, Blake Miller, I think, is a first-round pick all day.
Yeah.
If you don't like Blake Miller at left tackle, okay, he can move into guard too. And that gives you flexibility.
Well, I don't necessarily think they signed Elijah Vera Tucker to fill the guard spot left by Jared Wilson. They do have Caden Wallace, former third-round pick going into year 3. Marcus Bryant is backup tackle. I definitely think they need tackle. Tackle's not till way later for me just because I liked other needs more. But I'm saying they need nose badly. I think people inside the organization like Corey Durden at nose tackle. I do not. Eric Gregory is his backup. I mean, they need a guy that can hold the middle in the 3-4. And that guy's Caden McDonald. Look
I
at
just think he's
6'2" and an 8, 326. My man's gonna monster and mash inside and two gap it.
I feel like D tackle, there's going to be a lot of starting D tackle, nose tackles in day 2. And
Like who?
Dominique Orange, Grayson Hall.
Grayson Halton's. You really think Grayson Halton's a nose?
Dominique Orange, no, Grayson Hall. I'm thinking D tackles.
Exactly.
Dominique, they could grab at the bottom of the second, if not bottom of the third.
I think in terms of the top noses, you're looking at Caden McDonald and Caleb Banks. Those are the top two. And Banks has the foot issue. So that's probably going to push him on to day 2.
I think Hunter could play it too.
Yeah, 318's not bad. Yeah.
How big's Christian Miller? He's 310. Like, there's a lot of good defensive tackles.
Yeah.
Rayshon is 305. Like, there are a lot of options. Dante Carleone and Caleb Proctor are big guys too. Caleb Proctor's
I still just think my vote is Caden McDonald.
Here's what I'll say.
You could go Zion Young because he could do a 3-4 edge as well.
Here's what I'll say, John. I really like your point about the O-line, and I'm very much off of the Will Campbell is a tackle experiment. That dude's not a tackle. But I don't think they think that still. Like, I think they're thinking he just still needs to develop. Like, we spent a top 5 pick on him. We signed Elijah Vera Tucker. Like, I think, again, if we're putting ourselves kind of in the shoes and what they need, I think that they might go D-line.
Here, I'm gonna give you guys one more, just as a last ditch effort for O-line. Morgan Moses is their right tackle right now. He's on the last year of his deal. He also didn't look that great, So not only would a tackle be able to hedge on whatever you want to do with Will Campbell, but also it would give you potential insurance for right tackle this year, if not your future right tackle. I think you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone there.
And there is a pretty big drop-off between.
I would rather go some of these guys. I don't know.
You guys want?
I'm picking McDonald. That's my pick.
You guys want D-line? I'm outvoted.
I think McDonald, also just from the standpoint of, like, I would be shocked if one of those ideal guys doesn't sneak in, whether it's Miller, McDonald, or Woods. I'd be shocked if we got out of the first round without any interior D-line going.
Mm. All right, John. Go on your hour-long spiel.
Hey, John, take over. Take the reins.
We all know it's Miriam Price, okay?
No. Well, okay, I'll go through the positions. Quarterback, you don't need. Jadarian Price, I think, he is in consideration here. Tight end, you don't really need to add there. Outside of quarterback, those are the 2, I think, most great positions. Offensive tackle, I think you're also honestly set. You just gave extensions to Lucas and Cross. Left guard, you're set. People outside of, like, the Seattle fan base and people who follow the team don't give Jalen Sundell any credit. He was great last year. You don't win that Super Bowl if Jalen Sundell is not playing, in my opinion. You don't make the Super Bowl. His athleticism is really what helped pop a lot of those runs for K9 in the playoffs. So center, you don't need anybody. Right guard is the I don't even want to call it a question mark because Anthony Bradford, he plays a lot better than people give him credit for. His losses are horrible and easily can go viral as they have. But he's your weakest link on the line. But there's a saying, and like I don't know if you guys have heard this, like you can win, and as the Seattle just did, with a 1 red on the O line, and that's discounting what I think he is. But if you're counting Bradford or red, I think you're fine, as long as your other guys are okay. And they have decent pieces that they drafted last year that they think they're really excited about. Mason Richmond, Bryce Cable do so. O-line, I don't think is a need. If you have a value on day 3 or day 2, okay, you can talk me into it. D-line, D-tackle inside, I think is also a sneaky need, not necessarily immediate, but for depth. Edge is what scares me a lot. You lost Boye Mafe, but Derek Hall is also on the last year of his deal. Uchenna Nwosu finally had a healthy season, but can you trust him to stay healthy? And then DeMarcus Lawrence, there's still murmurs happening that he could retire. So not feeling that great at the edge position. You have a few depth guys, undrafted guys, but edge is running back is a need. Edge is number 2. Corner is number 3. Those are your 3 needs. You need one of each coming out of this draft. Linebacker, you could argue you need depth there. Safety, I think you could argue you need a starting safety as well. Though Ty Okada played very well, I think he could really step in and start, which is why I don't put safety up there. It's really you got to get a corner, but edge is probably my number 1. Edge is number 1 need for sure.
Well, it's not mine. Running back, safety, linebacker. My top 3 needs. So that's why
do you have linebacker as a need?
Because although you like Drake Thomas, Ernest Jones is fine. I don't trust the depth in Patrick O'Connell, Tyrese Knight, Chaz Surratt, Paul.
Drake Thomas is
CJ
they just
Allen
extended Drake Thomas. No, they just Drake Thomas is a dude. If you're watching Drake Thomas is like
much better.
Who?
CJ Allen's much better.
No, he's not. There's no way they're taking no. I'm sorry, Rusty. Linebacker, they're set. Tyrese Knight, you guys remember that game against the Cardinals? Where DeMarcus Lawrence scored two touchdowns?
The Cardinals twice a year.
Do you guys remember when DeMarcus Lawrence scored 2 fumble return touchdowns? Does that sound familiar?
I'll be honest. I was not tuning in to watch you guys belt to ass the Cardinals last year.
Fair. The guy who forced both of those fumbles was Tyrese Knight. Tyrese Knight started as a rookie. Drake Thomas beat him out.
I don't even know. Why are we talking about the Seahawks picking, John? They're not going to pick. They have 4 picks. They have 4 picks.
You don't need to trade the first. You don't need to trade the first to recoup.
Yes, you do. John Schneider literally said that he is not picking the first round this year.
He did not say that. No, he didn't. He said he's open to trading back. He said he did not say he's not. No, incorrect. Fabrication.
Not making a pick.
If Ty Simpson's already taken here, I don't see an obvious player that someone would trade up for.
Blake Miller. We just talked about the drop off at offensive tackle after Blake Miller.
Would someone give up that much?
I would argue someone should come up for either Zion Young or TJ Parker as well, because I think there's drop off after those boys. You could come up for, we've seen people come up for wide receivers as well. Cooper and Boston would be the guys. So I think there's some players that someone will want to come up for. And I think it would behoove the Seahawks with only 4 picks and the last pick in each round besides the 3rd round to trade back.
When's their next highest pick, John?
64.
They have a first, they have a
Mm.
second, a third, and then the top of the sixth.
I mean, John is right in the sense that you could still probably recoup a decent amount from trading out of that 64 spot. But what I will say is that I do think you just have a better chance of trading out of that 32 spot because, again, I think a lot of teams are looking to like see the value in that extra fifth option, like even for non-QBs. And I think it scales the more premium a position is. So like maybe if someone's like, we think Zion Young can be a starting edge within a couple of years, they could trade in. Those are my 2 cents. With that said, I mean, if you this is your team, John. If you like a guy, want to stick and pick.
So here's the other reason I think you don't need to trade. Because I don't hate the idea of trading, but the reason I don't think you need to trade here, 2 reasons. If you see a guy that you think you won't get if you trade back, you take him here. Now, there's a few that we can talk about for that. And 2, not only could you trade 64 to recoup, they are projected to have 12 picks next year. And I know 2027 is the best, like everyone's looking forward to that draft, but just numbers-wise, you won't be able to have 12 drafted players next year make your 53. That's too many. You need to be able to space them out. So I think since everyone's really wanting 2027 picks next year, Seattle's in a perfect position just to use one of them. They're projected to have 3 fourth-round picks. You could package a fourth with a third or something and get more picks, or just trade one of those to get right back in 1-for-1. So I think although they only have 4 picks right now in 26, because of the 27 picks they're going to have, that's going to be able to give them more room to not force their hand to make a trade. Now, if someone calls and gives you something crazy, of course you have to look at it, you know? But the players I think that you won't necessarily get if you trade back, 3 stand out. Rusty brought him up, Jadarian Price. There's just a big drop-off after him, in my opinion. And I don't think he gets to you at 64 either. You know, if you traded down, I think there's a few teams there who could take him. Zion Young, who you mentioned teams could trade up for. I think Zion Young, there's a few other edges I like, but to me, Zion Young, there's also a drop off after him. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris Johnson's still available, right?
Yes.
For me, that's who the pick is. That he's being projected to go higher in the first, you know? So that's why I'm also nervous just to trade back, because you might lose Chris Johnson, who I think, if he's available at 32, I think that's a slam dunk pick for Seattle. I think that's the worst kept secret. I don't know.
I do just want to make a point real quick too, because you referenced it, John. The whole next year's draft class is loaded thing has become a propaganda arm of the draft industrial complex. Okay. Not to get on too much of a soapbox about it, but like we did used to have more accurate reporting in terms of like next year's draft is going to be more loaded with talent, or at least that's what the teams think. And that's why you might see teams stockpiling for next year, trading back, yada, yada, yada. The last like 4 drafts, every next year's draft is going to be loaded. And it just has not been the case. And especially at like the quarterback position. Like this year, it was supposed to be Drew Haller in the top 5, Garrett Nussmeier in the top 5, Carson Beck in the top 5. There's going to be 5 QBs taken in the top 10. None of those guys developed into that, even though I think there could maybe be some value in them in the mid-round. But just a point in saying that, like, I think the whole 2027 is going to be nuts is very overblown.
I agree, John. I play in straight hard cash. I don't play in projected cash. Okay. The Seahawks currently, they have 8 picks. They have 2 7th-rounders. That's the only additional pick they have. They can project, and teams do project. I know that. I know they play with projected picks for the compensatory formula and everything. We don't have the compensatory formula. We can only, like you did, can only, see what people tell us that is going to happen.
The predictions for compensatories are like 99% accurate year to year.
I know that. But
Because
I'm
it's
just
such
saying-
a formulaic system,
I'm
as
just
is why the
saying-
NFL teams use them.
I'm just saying. I agree with Logan and the fact that you don't know what's going to be in 2027 because, like that, I don't know if you guys checked out that video that Mark sent us, or maybe he just sent it to me. The whole issue with NIL, right? They're guys, especially at the quarterback position, making millions, and then they come into the NFL and they're a 4th round draft pick and they're making hundreds of thousands instead. Boo hoo. Anyways, that's just a big thing that drafts are getting older. That's a fact. And guys are literally fighting to stay in college versus go pro. And I think it's hurting the development. That's kind of going off on a tangent. But at the same time, the 2027 thing, I will say, Logan, I think the quarterback class next year is more of a certainty than any other position just because guys are running out of time, right? Trinidad Chambliss, like, he's out. Like, this was his last time. He had to fight to get his year back, and he did, and he won, and he's going to play. Arch Manning, also, senior? I don't even know.
Mhm.
You don't even know what classification guys are.
The NCAA is going to let Arch Manning play in collegiate ball as long as he wants. All right, he could be 30 playing collegiate ball. They'll let him redshirt at Tennessee.
But yeah, I mean, you got Darian Mensah, you got Jaden Mayava as well. You got a ton of guys.
I mean, did you just see Owen Heineke? He was about to be drafted.
Yeah,
and he
that
just
was the weirdest
transferred
thing.
Another year.
I have no idea how. I understand he had to do it. He had because he didn't know it was going to happen. But I cannot imagine like going back to Mobile in January 2027, seeing an Oklahoma helmet at the linebacker position, and I'm like, did I not see that guy? Didn't that guy get drafted last year? I feel like that's what's going to happen to a lot of people if he does make the Senior Bowl again next year.
To Rusty's point, I mean, Logan, I hear you, and I agree with you most years, but because to Rusty's point, the way the NIL era has changed, players are staying in college longer, they're getting older, and because of that experience, they're coming out better and fresher. The other thing is a lot of small school guys who popped off, the question was like, okay, well, do it against the big guys, right? P5. Well, now all those small school guys, most of them are getting transferred to the P5s by the end of their career anyways. So there's just a lot more certainty in that aspect too. So
it is hurting the depth of the draft. So
yeah, I wanted to point it out more as a, like, to your point, John, I don't think Schneider's going to be clutching onto those 2027s as hard as maybe people think he's going to be. Like, if he wants to package some of those to distribute and get more picks in this draft, I think he might, is what I was more kind of saying. Because I don't think we know as certain as the draft media makes it seem where the teams fall on this draft versus next draft.
I think that's why, because of the lack of depth in this draft, I think that's what we're going to see, especially on day 3. I think we're going to see a massive uptick in picks for veterans on day 3.
yeah, I agree.
But John, where the hell are we going with the Seahawks here?
We just toured the entire landscape of football in general through this pick.
Hey, we didn't get to the UFL yet. Let me talk about that real quick.
I think this is Chris Johnson, and I think you send it.
I'll say I think that's a good stick and pick for them.
Zion
just
Young.
because
Zion Young, yeah.
All right, we got grades for all 32 teams, guys.
Except the Packers.
They don't let me scroll. They don't let me scroll to all the. They don't let me scroll across. I can't get to the.
You can't click on it. Click on.
I can't get to the front of the alphabet.
Huh.
No, see, I can't get to the front of the alphabet. The grades. I can get Baltimore, but I can't get any of the other B's or C's.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, but we do have the full results here. This is how it looked. Yeah, pretty good work, boys.
Take a screenshot. They're all accurate. This will not age poorly at all, gentlemen.
This is exactly how tomorrow night is going to happen. Just write it down in pen. Okay.
What's your guys' favorite pick of all 32? If you had a personal one.
Alaiba Vega Ione to the Steelers.
Yeah, that's a good value for sure. I mean, I love the Dolphins draft in general, especially if they were able to kind of trade up to get Lemon there at 20. That's a good fit. I like the player to team fit for Kenyon Sadiq, even though I think that might be a little rich for him. Like we kind of broke down, I think he slides perfectly into that Isaiah Likely role.
Yeah, I think my favorite fits. I agree with Logan on the Dolphins, 2 picks. Ione, of course, like I said, with the Steelers. And then back end, Casey Concepcion, I think, is a great fit for San Fran. Chase Besantis to the Texans as well. And my personal Cade McDonald getting that nose tackle to solidify Vrabes' defense, I think will do wonders for that team.
I also like Miami's. I mean, I agree with everything you guys saying, but Jeremiah Love, I don't know. I'm just really intrigued by him in that backfield with Jaden Daniels. And
Yeah.
if Jaden can stay healthy, Washington could. I just keep thinking about that. I know their defense has a lot of work to do, but they're not that far off. Love could potentially, be the final piece.
It all hinges on Daniels being able to stay healthy, but yeah, that backfield would be insane. And I think 7 there, that's almost where Love starts becoming like a steal.
He's gonna look so ugly in maroon.
Yeah, fair.
He's gonna look good in that spear one, that new spear.
You don't? Yeah, I was gonna say you don't like the new adapted unis.
That's the one that I think he'll look good in, but all the other ones, no. Worst pick, John Seahawks. Yeah. That is actually one of mine, probably.
I mean, I like it player to team fit.
Other than that, I don't really like the I don't like Ty Simpson the first. Maybe he probably will go in the first, but I don't know. And then the only other one I'll probably say is also back end with Jacob Rodriguez going to the Cowboys. Logan's on my boat with me. They need edge. Gary's not that dude.
Unfortunately, man. And the thing is, I was the biggest Gary guy, man. I was ready for the explosion, but he doesn't have the horses.
I agree with the Dallas thing. I know I was pushing it. I think that's something would happen. I think that's too early for him. So I think that would be fair. And then not a surprise. I thought that too early for McCoy. I just think the injury stuff's kind of scary. And especially with New York, as we said, with David Bailey, we need someone who can play now. So the Aaron Glenn, hot seat. McCoy, that might just be extra risky for a team like New York. Like I think a team with a GM and a coach who are like secure would be the ones to take a risk on him. Yeah. If you're thinking that he doesn't, Baltimore could be interesting. Baltimore does need corner. A brand new coach though, so I don't know. I still think he slides at least into the 20s.
Yeah, the last one I would say would be the second Browns pick. I didn't really necessarily agree with Caleb Lomu. I'm okay with DeJuan Jones for now, and I thought they needed. I think I had corner as safety, tight end. Yeah, corner though I think was where the board was.
That's
I like
funny.
Cisse there, or
That's
Johnson.
funny because I was gonna pick Tate. I know that's a pretty popular pick, him there at 6, but for me, it feels like a luxury pick for a team that needs a lot more meat and potatoes. Like, if I were in the GM seat, I'd much rather be interested in pairing like Bain with Garrett and seeing if we could build a defense out of that. But
I think that's fair.
All right, boys. Great work. It's a good draft. A little long, but always a great time. Of
Yeah, it's
course,
fun.
be back tomorrow night for the whole shebang. Round 1, starting at 8 Eastern. Be on somewhere between 7:30 and 7:45, probably. Just shooting the shit early. But yeah, it's always a great time. Draft season. Enjoy it.